Hello, my name is Robert Mendelson, and today I will be interviewing Mark Thielking. He works for the Energy Improvement Corporation, and today I'll be asking him about the programs the Energy Improvement Corporation has to offer. What is the Energy Improvement Corporation?
Thanks so much for having us. I'm Mark Thielking. I'm the Executive Director of the Energy Improvement Corporation. And the Energy Improvement Corporation is a not-for-profit local development corporation whose mission is to increase energy efficiency and renewable energy in our member communities. That includes the town of Greenburgh, as well as the villages within the town of Greenburgh. So we help property owners move forward with improvements to their buildings that help them save money and also reduce the amount of fuel they use.
What is a local development corporation?
LDCs, as we call them, or local development corporations, are entities that are owned by local government to help with solving problems. And typical LDCs offer services related to water and sewer improvements. We happen to work on energy efficiency and renewable energy improvements within our building stock. And as you all know, we have very old buildings. Sometimes they're beautiful, but they waste a lot of money. And so our LDC in particular, helps people address those issues related to energy.
What stage of development is the Energy Improvement Corporation currently undergoing?
Well, we exist. We were formed in 2011, July 2011, and we have now over 21 members across the state, where any municipality that has tax lien authority is available to join. And we represent pretty much most of Westchester now and most of the Mid-Hudson Valley. And again, as we expand statewide, this entity is meant to provide the same services to any county and city in New York State.
What are the prospects for Energy Improvement Corporation expansion?
Very good, very good. We're seeing interest from, again, all parts of the state. As you probably know, New York State has very high energy costs. We also have very cold winters. So the energy bills that we're facing are significant. So from the standpoint of property owners that want to address those, property owners that also want to install renewable energy, it's a very significant opportunity for them these days because there's a lot of solutions out there, but many people don't know where to start. And so the LDC structure and the Energy Improvement Corporation in particular is designed to help those property owners move forward with those improvements.
What are the benefits of installing energy upgrades?
Well, as you can probably all know from last winter, we faced very expensive bills. When you're talking about commercial properties in particular that deal with lots of heating, and for those entities that need lots of cooling in the summertime, the energy bills are very high. So what we help again is address energy waste because people are wasting their money. These are fixes that can be made very, very simply. And we help them do that through connecting them with NYSERDA programs, connecting with Con Ed and other programs that help those buildings fix that energy waste, thus bringing their bills down. The other important thing to remember is that there's a huge opportunity now to install renewable energy on your properties. That solar in particular is really taking off. Their solar costs have come down significantly. And many times, really the only thing in the way is understanding how to move forward with it and the capital that is needed to put solar on the roof. So what we also provide is financing for those solar improvements and also energy efficiency improvements for commercial property owners that want to improve their buildings. So we address many of the barriers we feel to energy efficiency and renewable energy improvements.
What types of energy efficiency improvements are there?
Well, most people have issues with buildings that are somewhat old related to the envelope. We call it the envelope, and that's the skin of the building. So whether your walls are under-insulated, whether your roof is under-insulated and maybe not air-sealed properly, that's letting in lots and lots of cold or hot air in the summertime. That doesn't need to happen. So we address many of those issues through an energy audit. We figure out where that energy waste is. Similarly, the equipment in the building, the HVAC equipment, the heating, ventilation equipment, the boilers in the building, the lights in the building, these are all significant energy users. So many times through an energy assessment that NYSERDA or Con Ed provides, addresses those issues right off the bat. They say this equipment is very old, And so that then figures out for the building, where are you wasting your money? And then what we can do, again, is help people move forward with those energy assessments, get them connected to the right programs, and then when they figure out what they want to do, we can help finance those improvements.
So solar is becoming a better prospect now then?
Solar's been improving every single year. The marketplace in solar is now at the cheapest cost per unit of energy created than it ever has been. So we're seeing an explosion in interest in solar. I think the biggest quarter for New York State was just last quarter of installations around the state. So clearly the costs have come down to the point where people are finding it extremely cost effective, but also very important for them to install renewable energy because it hedges them against possible rate increases for utilities. It also creates a positive image for these commercial building owners, that people that want to work on and placate businesses that are working on solar, they want to visit them. So overall, it's a very positive experience for the commercial building owner to put solar on the roof.
Are there any other types of renewable energy that commercial buildings can use?
Well, we're seeing combined heat and power, where a building that uses a lot of hot water, they can install a combined heat and power system that saves them a lot of money. Also, we're seeing geothermal systems installed. So most of the time, those three are the ones that we're seeing in this area.
We've heard a lot about homeowners and businesses trying to get, quote, off the grid. What is net metering and how does it work?
Well, so net metering is a very important concept when it comes to solar energy. And many of you that have heard about solar energy, you figure out that you're not using the energy from your utility anymore, you're actually using it from your roof. But the important component to that is that the utility has agreed to turn your meter backwards. In other words, the more energy you produce, the more energy that you're actually putting in the grid. Thus, your meter is going backwards. It's essentially, it's banking power that you're creating at the same time that you're using it. So net metering essentially is the concept is that you're netting out what you consume against what you produce from your solar panels. And that netting then is figured out on your utility bill. So if you produce 50% of what you typically would consume, your bill will be 50% as large as it was before you put solar on the roof.
Should a business focus more on energy efficiency or more on renewable energy?
That's a very important question. Right now, there are 4 Solarize campaigns operating in Westchester County. And the question that we get all the time is, should we do efficiency first before we put solar on the roof? And that's probably, the answer is yes. And the reason is that you can bring down your total usage of electricity, and for that matter, fuels as well, before you put solar on the roof. Thus, you can size a smaller solar system after you do your efficiency work. Same thing with just in general. If you're about to replace a boiler or replace an air conditioning unit, if you do a comprehensive energy assessment on your building, you're then able to possibly improve the envelope of the building, reduce air infiltration, increase the insulation of the building, and then size your heating and ventilation and your new boiler systems smaller because your heating load and your cooling load would be smaller. So it's important to do efficiency work, if possible, prior to improving any other improvements to the building related to energy.
Are there any other ways to reduce energy usage besides energy improvements?
Well, you can certainly change behavior. Many people leave their lights on when they don't need to. So many of the companies that are going through energy upgrades, they install time of use lighting equipment, so the lights turn off when no one's in the room. In addition, many people unnecessarily in the residential space use hot water to wash their clothing. That's generally not needed and you save a lot of money there. In the commercial space, some people leave their doors open when it's a really hot day out. So there are simple behavioral changes that you can make that also save a lot of money. But for Energy Improvement Corporation and the Energize New York, what we provide is, again, advice on how to move forward with more comprehensive upgrades to buildings, and then we help finance those through our finance products.
And this financing is called PACE financing, the way you finance? How does that work?
Yes, it's a very special type of financing. The unique component of property assessed clean energy financing, or PACE financing, and what we call as Energize New York PACE, is that the repayment mechanism is through your property tax bill. So if you decide to move forward with an energy efficiency upgrade or a renewable energy upgrade, and you decide to finance through Energize New York Finance, you will be repaying it through your property tax bill. And the key nice thing about that is, first of all, our rates are very low. And again, these are for commercial properties only at this point. So not-for-profits, commercial buildings, commercially owned buildings, these are the eligible entities that can use Energize New York PACE. But the key component to Energize New York PACE Finance is that the financing, which rates between 4% and 6%, 6% is for a 20-year financing currently, that is repaid through a property tax bill that is transferable to any subsequent owner. So just like your taxes transfer to the next owner on the property, same thing with this property tax charge. Of course, if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to be in trouble with the town. But at the same time, most people pay their taxes, so this is a very inexpensive form of capital to improve your building. It's transferable to the next property owner. It's very affordable. It's lower than most commercial loans available out there. And it's specific for energy improvements. So if you're considering energy improvements, it's a very valuable tool that the town now offers to their commercial building residents.
Do these energy improvements have any effect on land value?
Well, the property value of a building is determined by a number of factors, but if the operating costs are low through an energy upgrade, then that does improve the property, and it improves the tenant's situation as well on that property. So typically, energy improvements, including renewable energy, also significantly improve the value of those properties.
What businesses are eligible for the PACE financing program?
Energize New York PACE financing is available to commercial property owners. They're offered to LDCs, LECs, as well as not-for-profits. So if you have let me just tell you the type of clients that are already using PACE financing. And we have a number of office building owners. We have a number of multifamily building owners. We have several affordable housing building owners. And we have a lot of retail property owners. So that's the class of building generally that we see. But basically any commercially owned property and not-for-profit owned property is eligible for Energize New York PACE financing.
How else does the Energy Improvement Corporation help commercial businesses besides PACE financing?
Well, we help people move forward with the energy assessment. So that's the first step. You've got to figure out where you're wasting your money. If you're thinking about solar, you have to figure out if solar works for your building. So we help connect the right people to your project. After that, we evaluate through NYSERDA and the utility whether the project is viable, because it has to show that there's good economic value to that improvement before you can qualify for Energize New York PACE financing. And then finally, we help with the capital. So the capital is provided to qualified projects. We currently have over 70 projects in process across the Westchester County and our other counties that have joined EIC. And many of them are in our pipeline and our project list because of the capital that's available.
Has the EIC had any success stories with PACE financing that have been completed?
Well, actually, yes. On our website, you'll see that a dairy farm up in Orange County recently completed a solar system that covers 100% of their electricity use. And they are very excited because they now have 100% of their electricity covered by solar. They're able to expand their operations to the point where they can make more product. And the county is really excited because this is a growing business that has been supported through much lower cost energy. The project was financed with a very short-term financing, a 6-year financing, because it made so much sense to them. And again, after the financing is over with, they won't be paying anything related to electricity. The entire bill will be covered by their solar panels.
So the Five Spoke Creamery is the name of this dairy farm?
Yes. Yes.
And there's other programs besides the Energize New York commercial program, the Energize New York residential program?
Right. We have a program that is for residential building owners as well. We can't provide financing for energy upgrades related to residential, but we do have a website that also connects people that want to go through an assessment. And New York State pays for most assessments on the residential side. So you figure out where your energy waste is on your residential property, same way you do on a commercial property, except that New York State pays for most of those assessments. It's free. We can guide people to the right contractors. We have a list of contractors that are operating within the NYSERDA programs. And then if you get stuck along the way, we have services that help you move forward with that. So I think we've close to 800 homes that have been upgraded, saving over $1.5 million a year in energy savings.
What options are there for homeowners when they install energy upgrades?
Well, homeowners, it's similar. You know, when you go through an energy assessment, you're looking at where you're wasting your money. So where are the obvious places where your money's being wasted? And typically that's air sealing, so you're letting air out where it shouldn't be exiting the building. You're also looking at insulation levels, and also you're looking at your heating and cooling equipment. And included with the energy assessment from New York State, NYSERDA, is a test of the safety of the heating equipment as well. They'll do a combustion safety test. So you also check air quality in the building as well for a residential building. So there's a lot of reasons why you should get your home assessed, because you're going to figure out where you're wasting all your money. And most people that go through the NYSERDA Home Performance Program are saving between 20 and 40% on their energy bills, and they have a much more comfortable home.
Is it possible for a homeowner to have a net zero energy cost with renewable energy sources?
It's certainly possible. They would have to do, most homes that were built in the eras that they were built in this area would need a lot of work, but it certainly is possible to move a home to the point where renewable energy installed on site could cover close to 100% of the use. It's possible.
What are the environmental impacts of doing a program like this to improve energy efficiency and use renewable energy sources?
Well, that's a key consideration for many of our communities joining the Energy Improvement Corporation, and that is that the use of fossil fuels causes other problems for the community. And I don't know if you've ever walked down on a really cold day and you're in your neighborhood, and probably a lot of homes have turned on their oil heat furnace, and all you smell is the burning of fuel. And that smell is not healthy. So what any energy upgrade for any type of property does is reduce the amount of negative elements of burning fossil fuels. So you'll have less air pollution, you'll have less particulate pollution, which causes asthma. You'll also have less carbon emissions that are raising temperatures globally. And for that matter, we'll be keeping more dollars locally. A lot of our dollars that are spent on energy are sent away from our communities, and that's unfortunate because we should keep those dollars locally. And many of these energy improvements pay for themselves. And once you stop spending money on fuels, you'll be able to spend dollars locally at your local stores, and I think that's good for everybody.
Does improving energy efficiency and renewable energy have any impact on foreign policy?
Well, I believe that the U.S. is very interested in making sure that there are reliable fuel sources from around the world to keep our economy going, and that's a good thing. But if we were less dependent on fossil fuels, and certainly fuels from abroad, that would reduce the need potentially to protect those sources of fuel. I can't comment on much more than that, but I certainly think that anytime you use less fossil fuels, it has multiple benefits across the communities as well as our nation.
Can you imagine a world where all businesses and homeowners are, for the most part, energy independent?
I can imagine that world. Currently, the New York State Code for new construction is the proposed code is moving towards net zero. It won't be net zero this coming code, but the technology exists to make our buildings significantly more efficient. Our existing buildings are just wasting so many dollars, and they're very easily fixed. That's why programs like Energize New York exist. Communities recognize that this is an important component, and thus they're providing financing now to make sure that everyone can afford these upgrades. So overall, the potential is there, and certainly I think the biggest challenge is our existing building stock, and that's why these programs like Energize New York, both the finance program as well as the residential and commercial programs, exist, because we feel like the opportunity is so great to improve the efficiency and use less fossil fuels.
Are there similar programs to Energize New York out there that helped accomplish the same idea, like nationwide?
There's nothing nationwide, but there clearly are local-based programs around New York State, like ours, as well as around the country on a local basis. I think the important thing to remember, though, is it's really how the community itself views the importance of these issues, and the fact that the town of Greenburgh has a program like Energize New York really sets it apart, that they're focused on these issues, that energy use and the waste of energy is an important part of the community's goals. Reducing the negative impacts of fossil fuel is an important goal as well. And so the fact that the town of Greenburgh and the villages have this program to use is a fantastic opportunity, and it really shows the foresight of the township to move forward with this.
Is there anything else you would like to say in relation to the Energy Improvement Corporation that you have not said yet?
Well, I just urge all community members to check out our website. It's energizeny.org. And again, we're here to help with certainly commercial building owners that have issues with energy, that want to save money, that want to reduce their fossil fuel use, but also want to create a more sustainable building environment. As we all went through Sandy and had issues with fuel use and electricity, many people are upgrading their buildings just for that point alone. They want to create a more resilient, more comfortable, more appropriate structure for them, sustainable structure. So I encourage everybody to look at energizeny.org, and we're here to answer any questions.
That about wraps things up. For more information on the Energy Improvement Corporation, tune in to energizenewyork.org. There will be a lot of information on that website, everything to do with what we're talking about today. Thank you for your time, Mr. Thielking.
Thank you.
This is Robert Mendelson signing off.